everybody, my video today is the 10 things for you not to do when you're coming to Sedona. Now this could be if you're moving to Sedona or if you're just coming for a visit, but please don't do these 10 things while you are in Sedona. So the channel is Living in Northern Arizona, where I'll teach you everything there is to know about living here in the northern half of the state. I post videos every single week about Northern Arizona topics, so please come back next week to see what I have in store for you, and please hit the subscribe button, the like button, all that stuff, because that helps the next person who's looking for this type of content to find the channel. My name's Dawn Dickinson. I live in beautiful Sedona, Arizona, and I do sell real estate here in the northern half of the state, Sedona, Verde Valley, Flagstaff, Prescott. If you ever have a real estate question, feel free to reach out to me. People do it all the time, and I love when that happens. You can reach me by going to the description below and finding my phone number or email. Send me an email, text, phone call, or go straight to the website where you can schedule a 30-minute Zoom call or a phone call and we can get in touch right away. Okay, the first thing not to do when coming to Sedona is to leave your 5,000 watt porch light or garage lights on all night long. You see, Sedona is an international dark skies community, so when you leave these bright lights on at night, it does light up the entire street, and it can be difficult. People here trying to sleep, and the lights can be so bright that they're penetrating through the shades, and it can be really a pain for your neighborhood. So please don't leave the bright lights on all night long, the porch light, the flood lights, the garage lights, because it puts out too much light, and technically we are international dark sky. Somebody could turn you into the HOA and force you not to leave the lights on, but we try to resolve things nicely here in Sedona. So just tip number one, please don't leave the bright lights outside on all night long. Okay, so number two is actually a safety issue. I see this happen all the time, especially in the high tourist season. Please don't be driving up the 179 and pull over and get out of the car right there like this to take a picture. Now, I know the scenery is beautiful and we do get spoiled when we live here because we see it all the time, but this can be potentially dangerous, especially in heavy traffic. I've seen people pull over, open their door, and kind of step out and try to take a picture with the door open. Somebody is gonna blast in that door and rip it right off your car, and hopefully they won't take you with them. Now, there are plenty of places to pull over for photographs. There are the inlets to the hiking trails. There are businesses. You could pull over at the Circle K and just walk to the edge of the parking lot and take a picture, or many scenic lookouts. So please just don't pull over on the side of the road on the 179 or the 89A. Traffic is too thick, and it's actually very dangerous when you do that, and yet I see it all the time. So number two, no stopping in the middle of the road to take a picture. Okay, so number three is kind of along the same lines as number two. A lot of people like to come here and rent bikes, which is fine, but what scares me is I see tourists sometimes out on the main road riding the bike. But what really scares me is more than once I've seen somebody on a family bike trip on the 89A. Now realize the 89A, that's 2 lanes of traffic each way. Very dangerous for you to take your little kids on a bike on the 89A. I see it all the time. You know, a dad and a mom and a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old on the side of the 89 way. That is way too risky. If you're gonna take bikes or rent bikes or even bring your own bikes, please just ride through the neighborhood, ride through the not so crowded streets, but don't take your little kids on the 89A or the 179 on rented or owned bicycles. Okay, number four again is kind of along the same lines. It's the 89A now, but we're on the other side. We're between Uptown Sedona and the Slide Rock State Park. So sometimes I know the entrance fee to get into Slide Rock State Park is very high. It can be, last time I checked, it was $30 to get in, and it didn't matter if you're going for an hour or if you're going for the entire day. So I can understand $30 for the car, that is. So I can understand that you don't want to pay $30, but there have been times where people have said, I'm not paying that, and I'm going to park up the road and I'm just going to walk, and they walk with their little kids on the side of the 89A, and that's a very narrow, winding road with lots of traffic. And there was a case a couple of years ago where a little 8-year-old girl actually fell into the crevasse, and it's, you know, maybe 15 feet. So it's not like you're falling a billion miles down there. But again, a little girl fallen 15 feet into the off the side of the 89A, very bad. Please don't take your kids, walk them up the side of the 89A in that very narrow, twisty, windy road. It's just not safe, and don't do it. $30 or whatever you're trying to avoid paying is definitely not worth the safety of your children. Number 5, please don't hike on the non-designated trails. You know, that basically means hiking off trail. Now, in Sedona, hiking is probably one of the top 3 draws to come to Sedona, right? You've just got the beauty of the red rocks, you've got all the supernatural, mystical, vortexy kind of stuff, and you have the hiking trails. Those are probably the 3 biggest draws. So if you're coming to go hiking, that's great. Sedona is a wonderful place to hike, but please stay on the designated trail. A couple of things that can happen is if you go off trail, you could get lost. It's hard on the environment, hard on nature, but the very biggest risk is if you're going off trail and you're going on one of these trails that go up the side of the red rocks, you can get stuck up there and have to get rescued. Now, there have been more than one time where late at night I see a helicopter circling Bell Rock. Now, of course, Bell Rock does have a designated trail that goes to the top, but I've seen a helicopter circling Bell Rock, circling Castle Rock, circling some of the other rocks late at night, and what that means is somebody has gotten themselves stranded on the red rock. So that is not good. Don't go hiking on the non-designated trails, and don't go up on the red rock cliffside if you are not an experienced rock climber or hiker. Number 6 is about renting the ATVs or the side-by-sides or the quads. So in Sedona, what has happened is in recent years, all of these ATV rental places have popped up all over the place, and they actually have more ATVs that they're renting out than the environment can handle. Now, for me, this is kind of a bummer because I have my own side-by-side. They've closed a lot of the trails, so it's very difficult for me to find a place to go riding, and I live here, and if I do go riding, it's typically just going in and out of the neighborhood, going to Clark's and back, going to Ace Hardware, because it's just so difficult to find a place to ride. And the other thing is, if I am by myself and I'm out in the mountains and I get stranded, that's really a bummer for me because it's hard for me to come back. And of course, my ATV is 15 years old. But if you are renting an ATV, there's 2 things that you have to keep in mind. And 1 is to stay on the designated ATV trails. And to 2, please don't go riding off and doing donuts or speeding back and forth or doing any kind of this horseplay on the ATVs, because it's very bad for the environment. Definitely if you're out there doing donuts, we have a group of locals that actually follow people out there with their cameras, and they take pictures of you doing the donuts, and they post it on YouTube. There's a whole channel I've seen. I haven't looked at it lately, but they post pictures of violators that are out there doing donuts on the rented ATV. So please don't do that. I understand you want to rent the ATVs, but go on the designated areas. I know out by Boynton Canyon and Schnebley, I think there are a lot of places to ride, but just make sure you get a map of where you can go and stay on the designated trails, and don't do any of that horseplay where you're doing donuts and putting 10 tons of dust into the environment. Okay, number 7, please do not get into an altercation at the gas station, at the grocery store, or any place in Sedona with any of the locals over something stupid. Now, I understand when you're driving here and you get here and there's a line at the gas station, because there's only 3 of them in Village of Oak Creek, for instance. You could be a little bit aggravated and your tempers get high, but please don't start yelling at people or giving anyone the bird. Now, there have been twice that I have gotten into altercations with people at the local grocery store. Now, it's odd because I lived in Phoenix for 50 years. Never once did I get in a fight with anybody at the gas station or at the grocery store, but yet here, in just living in Sedona for 4 years, I have twice gotten into an altercation. Once some lady started screaming at me because I'd walked behind her when she was pulling her car. "Lady, you're not even wearing a mask." And she went off about the mask thing, and I don't wear a mask unless I'm forced to. I don't care if you want to wear a mask, but don't start yelling at me because you backed into me and I'm not wearing a mask. So that's one. Another time, though, at Clark's, I actually had someone, I got in a little altercation. Basically, I was driving too slow and she beeped her horn, and then I was driving too slow again, beeped her horn, and a few little gestures got exchanged, which is very immature, I understand, but all of a sudden I realized she is following me. She's following through my neighborhood. I actually was going home and I decided not to pull in my driveway, and I'm going in and out of the streets. Now realize in my neighborhood, little kids live here. You don't go chasing residents down the street. Is there ever a reason to chase somebody on a high-speed chase in the land of peace and harmony? Chasing locals through the neighborhood, please don't ever do that. I can't imagine a situation where that would have been appropriate. So number 7, no altercations with the locals while you're on vacation or anything else here in beautiful Sedona or northern Arizona. Okay, number 8 is something that might seem obvious, but it's just don't leave your trash lying around. Use the garbage can when you're on the trail. Bring stuff to pick up after your dog. But this is a problem that I've noticed happening lately is in Sedona. You got a lot of the short-term rentals, and somebody will come for the weekend and they will pile the trash can high. And there'll be beer bottles and trash and pizza boxes, and they'll just leave it on the curb piled high, and then the coyotes or the javelina or whatever wild animal will come and they will knock the trash can over, and there's trash all over the flipping street. So please be careful where you leave your trash. And then the other thing is not exactly trash, but if you're out in the trails, don't stack the rocks up in these tiny little towers. It doesn't bother me that much, but I know some of the neighbors go nuts when they see these little towers of rocks everywhere because it's just, you know, you're messing with the environment. So please don't leave your trash out or pile up the garbage cans so high that you know the coyotes are going to knock it over and spew it all over the neighborhood, or make little towers with those rocks on the trailhead. Okay, number 9 is something that kind of really makes me mad. I was in a home once. I actually have a picture of the sign. But if you're staying at a short-term rental and you see a sign on the wall that says, please don't review us on Yelp, we're resolving an issue with the HOA. You know what that means? That means that that homeowner is actually in violation and they are operating an illegal short-term rental, an illegal Airbnb. So if you ever see that on the wall of a house, realize that you are staying illegally in a short-term rental. And what of course I would like you to do is just take a picture of that and text or email it to me with the address. That's what I'd like you to do. But if you ever see that, don't stay at that place ever again, and I would recommend you either sending it to me or reporting it to the HOA, because that is a clear violation, and nobody would leave a sign on their property that says don't review us on Yelp. I mean, red flag right there. So if you ever see that, don't stay at that place ever again. Number 10, please, if you are visiting Sedona and you're staying in a short-term rental, don't be disrespectful. Just pretend that you live here and you're staying at your Aunt Bertha's house for the weekend, and you don't want to destroy the environment, destroy the neighbors. So things not to do is don't be disrespectful. Don't leave the porch lights on super bright all night. Don't stack up your garbage. Don't have any drunken shenanigans where you're in the backyard howling or having loud music blaring late into the night. Your neighbors could call the police on you, and it's just very difficult to be in a neighborhood where a lot of this is going on. So just please be respectful. Don't harass the neighbors, and act like you live here, and all will be well. So that's it. 10 things not to do when visiting Sedona. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, please give me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing. Coming back here next week when I post another brand new video about northern Arizona. And my name's Dawn Dickinson. I sell real estate up here. So if you ever have a question about buying or selling a home in Sedona, Verde Valley, Prescott, or Flagstaff, give me a call, text, email, and I will certainly get back to you.